Hey, welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 94. So we got a lot to talk about. Just got back from Roush, and there's a lot to unpack between the some of the prep that we kind of touched on end of last podcast, or not end, but throughout the last podcast, right? And how that did or didn't work out. The actual trip itself.
Yeah, and also kind of what we did while we were there. Maybe that's a good
Oh,
thing we
nobody
can
cares
talk
about what we
about.
did while we were there. It's all about the before and after.
Worst part about that is I literally don't have anything to add.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a pretty easy ride down, so I think it's the only before portion would probably be you, kind of giving us the old rundown.
Yeah, and I don't we I think we mentioned I don't think it was on a podcast that whole saga could be the 3 day saga of me trying to finish that green Jeep could be an episode in itself. So I don't know if we want to talk about that right now or
No,
what.
just go quick. Just give us a quick little synopsis of it.
Quick synopsis of that. Okay, well,
Yeah.
um, I took all of last week off, even though we left on Thursday morning, or intended to leave Thursday morning. I think we left Thursday around noon.
Mhm.
To finish, I took the whole week off to finish Sean's Green Jeep, and figured 3 days would be plenty of time. Long story short, it was not, but I got a lot done. And then at 5 in the morning on Thursday, we were like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna happen. It's not gonna make it." So, uh, it was a little sad, but I think it was for the best for that buggy. I mean, we had a whole thing. We were not cutting corners, but we were cutting things off of the list that weren't important, that or that we felt weren't important to get it going for the trip. But ultimately, the thing wouldn't run right. We couldn't get it to stay running. The Dana 300 got caught in between high range and low range. So when we first pulled it out of the shop at 2 grand, as that is the only RPM that the thing would stay running at, it did a front. It did the most. I can't even describe it. The back wheels were moving at the speed of the vehicle, and the front wheels were moving faster than the speed of the vehicle, doing like burnout things in slow motion on the ground. Uh,
Was
we were
sticky.
all yes, and it was having seeing that at 5 in the morning, just after basically killing myself and Jacob in the same boat, working really hard on this thing for the past several days, uh, was just odd. Like we didn't know what was going on at that point. Um, I don't know how that stupid transfer case hasn't exploded, but I probably got to rip the front half of that off and figure out what the hell it's doing and why it's doing that. I know why it's doing it. It doesn't have those stupid detents, but um,
You
probably should
should
put
if
those
you
in.
wanna.
Yeah.
If you want to get it out though, and not have to pull the transfer case, just jack up an axle. And it should unbind.
Well, hmm. You mean like pick the axle up off the ground?
Yep.
My biggest thing
And
is
then
like if we were I need to put those detents in. I need to buy the detents to put them in. It didn't have them in the old buggy's setup, but I think it's stupid that it doesn't have them, and it fucking needs them because otherwise you end up with shit like that where your transfer case is stuck between gears, and I don't really want Sean to have to deal with that in the middle of whatever trail he's doing. I think to build that thing proper, and I don't know. I mean, that case is. I already vocally disapproved of that case, both I think here and to him. So I don't know. I don't love it. It's kind of pissing me off, but it works. So we'll try to make it work for a little bit at least till he wants to change it, which I don't imagine will take too long. But we'll see. We'll see. It at least needs the
Why?
T
so
spline. It doesn't have the inputs are stock. Doesn't have detents. It does weird
Mhm.
binding things where it doesn't engage low range for both the axles, I guess, right? Just stupid shit. So, and which you shouldn't have to worry about in a transfer case setup. It's just real dumb. I'm not happy with how that is sitting at all. Um,
You know,
Trying to think
with
what
an
else.
MP231, you don't have to deal with that.
I know you don't.
Uh,
231s are great, but they also suck because they're basically a ticking time bomb unless you put a couple $100 into them to do the wide chain, or if you have a wide chain case that you can take all that crap out of and put in it. But even then, you're still dealing with a little flimsy aluminum case that, as you know, blows up.
or pops holes into.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
Hey,
funny that both you and Trail Trash popped a 231 in the same weekend.
They popped a 231 this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fucking hysterical.
We'll talk about that more later because there's a funny story involved with that. But yeah,
Happens.
uh, it does. It does.
And then we were talking on one of their Facebook posts. I didn't realize the 241 has 32 spline outputs.
Didn't know that either. But something that we totally skipped over was thank you for anybody who came out. Like, I know that not everybody was there specifically for us or came out specifically because we were going to be there. But, I mean, we had a good turnout of like 45 people that we knew, or at least 45 rigs or so that we knew there at Roush. So that was really fucking cool to see. Sorry that we didn't get to wheel with everybody if they wanted to wheel with us. I know we kind of skipped right past all of this, going straight into talking about the rigs and whatnot. But we had a pretty good turnout. I don't know how everybody else felt about it, but yeah.
We'll say that it did seem like everything flowed pretty well, especially with that many people there. Um, and there were people there that knew about the event, but not the podcast, or knew that the podcast was doing the event and just showed up because people that they knew were showing up, which I think that's how we kind of got like that large number. It was,
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, I mean,
the
that's
Long
that's the
Island.
goal. We don't give a fuck like
Yeah.
the reason. It's just like come out and do cool stuff.
Yeah, it
And
was.
I
There
mean,
was
in the
what?
past we've had some really cool people show up, and it's just always been fun. Even though, and it's never we're never organized enough to get out at a reasonable fucking time, but uh,
I
it is cool
apologize.
having the option to wheel with all those guys. I personally, I think Luke, you and me especially didn't wheel with. Like, I don't think I hit anything with the Long Island guys, other than I hung out with Mike for a minute at the comp course.
Yep.
I know Colin and those guys had went out and they met up with the Long Island guys for a little bit. Hell, we didn't even wheel with Curtis that much, other than the first day. He was wheeling
No.
with I don't blame him though. I mean, he wanted to hit harder stuff with the big boys because now he thinks he's got his, he's on his 42s, the sticky 42s. He can do anything and he's better than everyone else. But yeah,
Hangs out with us for 20 minutes, rolls his shit, but we'll talk about that on his episode.
Give a little spoiler because I'm sure there's more to that story too.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, it was just wild though, because and for once, I was one of the people that was actually the reason that we were going out late. That's a rare occurrence. Normally, I'm the one that's like sitting there kicking everyone to try and get moving.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Uh,
You're the
I think-
reason. Boo.
well, like I think the biggest problem was just because a lot of people didn't stay at Roush this year. A half of our close group, I guess you could say, like the people that we'd wheel with the most often, stayed at a hotel. So it took they got up at 9, but then it took an hour for them to get ready, and then it took them 2 hours to get their asses over to us. And then not to mention we'd have to get them into their rigs to come out wheeling. So half the time, I mean, shit, I don't think we started earlier than 11 o'clock.
oh
It
yeah,
was a
Jesus.
mess. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean-
yeah. And meanwhile, like me, Curtis, and fucking Nick are lined up in the fucking hammocks up at. I mean, they're up earlier than me because I've had no interest in being up earlier than 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But it didn't matter because nobody else was fucking ready anyways. So,
Yep.
yeah.
all right. Do you want to do the obligatory getting there part of the podcast now?
getting
I
there?
mean, I don't think there's really anything to talk about like getting there really, unless
The only drama we had on the drive down was Vader spilling water. Vader is a dog, by the way. Vader spilling water on Dad's brake controller, and the trailer brakes locking up. So it turned
Yeah.
into like a 2.5, 3 hour detour because we now had to, and they were locked up for a minute too. Dad didn't notice, and me and Colin are right behind him. We're like, huh, he's going down the hills and the hill and that trailer brake or the brakes are smoking. Uh, cool. And then he got off the hill and they were still smoking and like continuing to get worse. So then we were calling Miguel like, hey, call Dad. His brakes are literally smoking, and not stopping. And we pulled over
Duramax must
and
be mildly tuned up, just a little, to not notice that.
I don't know. It was yeah. Either I mean that trailer isn't the brakes don't do shit anyways. It's the green trailer.
I
Yeah.
thought they
There's
fixed them.
the trailer.
Yeah, you could have the. We were actually the funny thing is we were talking about how they had fixed the brakes and it was doing good. Literally the stop before this happened, probably no more than 15 minutes before it happened. So you just gotta keep quiet sometimes. But either way, the brake controller needed to get yoinked. I think they put a new one in. I don't know if it fixed it, and then obviously they smoked the bearings because they were fucking hot, so they had to repack them, um, which took a minute. I wasn't really aware of what exactly was going on there. I kind of just sat on the trailer deck and fell asleep because I had not slept for more than really any period of time at that point. I didn't have any sleep that night. No, so yeah, I was taking a nap. So they just let them do their thing, and we left when they were done. So that was the only thing. It's that fucking green trailer. It's always the green trailer. Nobody else had any issues.
Which is good. I mean, I'm happy to hear that, but it's always that goddamn green trailer.
Yeah.
That thing never gives anybody some
It's bad
fucking
luck.
slack.
It's bad luck.
It honestly is. I give them props though. They pushed through the bad luck, and they tried it out. It seemed to have worked.
Oh, I mean, it tows
So,
pretty nice with one Jeep on it. They just had Dad's Jeep on it,
yeah.
and some of their supplies. So, I mean, it's a perfect trailer for stuff like that. It's easy to pull with one Jeep. It stops pretty okay with one Jeep. So, except when it doesn't because it's locked up. But that's really all it was. That was like the only issue the whole drive down. I forget, Cody, that you guys didn't drive down with us. You and Kate
No.
drove separate. Keep
Yeah,
forgetting
we
that.
we were like, well, actually, when you guys made your first stop where you and Colin swapped in the truck,
Uh-huh.
if you guys had zero problems from that point further, we probably would have ended up on 84 at the exact same time. Because what's his name? JB gave me a ring right as you guys were getting to 84, which is about an hour away from Hartford. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm 35 minutes away. We still have to stop, still have to get gas. So by the time that we get on there, there might be a chance that we'll meet up. But then you guys had further problems, and then it just kept getting later and later and later and later. And yeah, then you kind of got screwed.
Yep.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy how they they still take the chance of that goddamn green trailer. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's at this point it's just funny, right? See what the green trailer's gonna pull this time. Apparently, when I was towing it last, they were saying that only one of the brakes was working, and we literally had checked all of them. So I don't know how the fuck that's the case, but apparently that was a thing. So all that
That's
work
too
to
funny.
adjust those brakes, and only one of them was fucking working. Stupid.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were saying that the passenger side front was the only one that was working, which I mean, I guess that makes sense if you guys were seeing smoke, but it wasn't locking up. It was that one brake just on fire.
Well, my trailer brake sucks too, I noticed. Like compared to when I was towing JB's trailer back to my place.
Mhm.
And however it tries to modulate doesn't seem to work very well because like Colin, when he would brake, you could feel the brake engage because he was always complaining about it delayed. It was a delayed braking,
Yeah,
right?
the Dodges are like that. Yeah. Yep.
Um, But on mine, right, it doesn't have an integrated brake controller. I've just got some shitty thing that was on the GMC, and then before that was on Colin's truck. It's a piece of junk. I had that thing cranked to 100, and even then, it only gives you a certain amount of force, right? Like it'd give me
Hmm.
like 20%. But you don't. I don't even feel it engage half the time, and I don't know. I don't know if that's normal or not. I don't know. But either way, but I could fully engage it with the little squeeze button, and then I would feel it break, and I wouldn't be hitting it to 100. I could hit it to 20, and it would feel a little different. So I don't know what it's doing, but a little weird there. But
Yeah, that does sound a little odd. Yeah,
yeah,
normally no, you can like when trailer brakes are set up right, you can feel them.
oh yeah,
There's
and
no
you
like
can't really feel these on mine. So I think that controller's junk. I gotta try getting a new one, but
yeah,
it
it is
hasn't bugged
weird
me
though. Like
enough.
the Dodges do have a very odd brake controller. Like going from like my truck to my father's truck, I've noticed that like my truck, it it's like integrated to the brakes. So like once you start pressing the brakes, then it starts applying the trailer brakes onto the trailer.
Hmm.
Where like the Dodges, it doesn't really do that. It's just like on or off, and it kind of does it, but it doesn't actually have like a max power. So like you really got to be stomping on the truck brakes to get the trailer brakes to start applying.
Yeah,
Even
and I
like if
have
they
noticed
turn it
that.
all the
Like
way
if I
up.
stomp on it, like if I have to panic brake for something, which I've done a couple times, then you feel the trailer brakes. But only then.
Yeah,
Like if you're just stopping normally, it feels like they're doing nothing, which is
Well,
obnoxious. I like to feel them a
it,
little bit.
same.
depending on your brake controller, Graham, you might have to adjust the angle of the controller inside the
I
cab.
was thinking about that. Like, what is the ideal angle for one of those? Sorry, this is totally
It
not Roush
Wait,
related at all. But
there's an
it
angle issue with
varies.
them.
well, they have a gyroscope in there that
Yeah,
senses when you're stopping. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. Certain brake controllers do, not all of them
Well,
do.
some of them are on off, right? You press brake and they turn
Yeah,
on, and you set the
I know the
intensity.
one
But
has the gyros thing in it, and I did actually have to adjust it a little bit to and my brakes felt way better on the trailers after I did that.
What the fuck? I've never even heard of this before.
yeah, that's how those work.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it is. So,
And
but I don't know. I'm throwing that
it,
controller away because it's
it,
junk. I don't have the instructions for it anyways, and
it the
it's pretty cheap.
ideal angle varies from controller to controller, I guess.
Yeah, I was trying with it like angled all the way flat because I figured like, oh, well, if it's trying to measure forward backwards, it should be flat. But I don't know if
Well,
that's.
no,
I
no,
don't
because
think that made a
they're
difference to be
supposed to
honest.
be angled.
Oh, they are supposed to be angled?
Yeah, so
Oh my God.
most controllers have like a little slidey thingy on it, or like a little
Yeah, they let
LCD
you change
play
like
on it.
where it is, but I always
That-
thought folded up was
That's
like
angled up.
closed, like away. Did we lose you, Richie?
Oh, sorry. That's supposed to be angled up so you can see it easily. So most controllers are not meant to be like perfectly horizontal.
Gotcha.
I
So I'm
think
probably messing it up by having it be flat because I was,
I
trying to
I
be smart
think
when
it's
I'm
like
actually I'm just
30 to
retarded, but it's
45
cool.
degrees. If you heard
Weird.
that.
I've never even heard of this before, so this is all new to me.
Well, now you know. Brake controllers, they have
I
technology.
I didn't know about it until I complained to one of my buddies that owns a shop about how my trailer brakes always felt like shit. And it was like, oh, well, try this. And so I did, and it worked.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. I don't know. I gotta fiddle with that, but that's really not. This isn't the blue collar brake controller podcast, so I think we're done talking about brake controllers. Um, so yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
first things first. First things first. I want to know how the fuck you flopped in a section that Cullen was able to just walk through. I need to hear this.
well,
I need to hear this. We're gonna dive straight.
oh yeah, you
How
guys left,
bad
right?
the flop
See,
was.
Yeah.
God forbid you stay one more day, right?
No, I was fucked up. I seriously I was not good.
You're not good.
After Saturday's like heat stroke, heat exhaustion, dehydration bullshit, whatever it was, like the hour that we spent out in the sun on Sunday, I felt fucked up again. Like I literally was like nauseous, couldn't fucking like I was dizzy, like I was fucked up
Gotta
from the
take
sun.
care of yourself in the sun, my boy.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody listening, drink fucking water, even if you're not thirsty. Because me, Saturday, I wasn't thirsty. Drink fucking water. I fucked up, and I was on the verge of actually like not being okay, but somehow pulled through, and we did it. But definitely, if I had stayed Sunday, it would not have been a good thing. It
Oh
would
yeah,
not
I
have
mean,
been good.
I always hunt those waters down. Even if I don't have one, I make sure like I can grab something from somebody. But I think this trip I had at least 2 bottles on me during the day when we were out.
Hmm.
So good to have. Water's important, especially when it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And that fucking parking
Yeah.
lot is always hot as balls in the sun. It's like a desert.
Hmm. And
So
that's like Caitlin was like surprised. She was like, "Well, like you don't really have the issue of a Badlands." I'm like, "That's because there's shade. I can get away from the sun. We're like bat or at Roush, you're
you're
just
stuck in it.
cooking.
Which is why
Yeah,
I kind
you.
of liked our other little campsite better because you could go and hide in the woods. But
Hmm.
um, this one wasn't too bad. But and
No,
nobody took our spot, right? Our other spot was like pretty much open. I don't think I really saw anybody camping in that little nook.
no, no. I didn't think. I mean, the tractor trailer or not tractor trailer, the Class A camper went over there, but I don't think they actually stayed in our area.
No.
And
Oh,
that's
what,
obviously
that big
yeah,
ass camper?
yeah.
Yep.
And I said that with air quotes. Obviously, it's not fucking our area, but still, like the area
Oh
that we
no,
had
it's
stayed in
ours.
previously.
It's
I
ours.
mean, we kind of did go in there and commandeer it.
Yeah, we did commandeer the whole entire freaking grass area too. We took that over pretty
So
quickly.
enough about camping spots. Graham, flopping.
Oh well,
Yeah,
it was
how did
like
the hell did you do that?
I don't really know what exactly happened, I'll be completely honest. The video, like, I'm already basically over. Colin just spotted me into the dumbest line. Chris had spotted me through the first section.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, the first, like, third of it, you don't need any spotting. It's pretty easy. But then you get to this one spot, and that back half, that kind of binds you up. Um, just because there's a lot of moving boulders and, things get messy. So he had spotted me through that first section, and then I got through, or the first half, and then I got through that, and you end up on the second half. And I think Colin just posted a video of him like going from the start of the second half through the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess the line there is to stay up high on that. So that's what I was doing. I was staying high on that whole ridge, and it was working out. I mean, you feel a little off camber, but nothing crazy. Um, and Colin was spotting me through the whole thing. And I was doing good, doing good. He was having me go back and forth to get unstuck from one thing, and then the next thing I knew, I was next to those 2 larger boulders, and I dumped it a couple more degrees, and then it like slowly flopped a foot and a half the rest of the way. It was really not that climactic, and like you watch Colin standing on the rock try to like push me off the rock, which wasn't gonna work because it was already basically. I don't think it was quite. It wasn't even 90 degrees. Like, and they were saying after the fact that I might have been able to drive it. I don't know if I could have been able. It was still going, but I was totally. The wheels were on the side, and had I dropped off of it, I don't know if it would have put me right again. But
So
yeah, it was.
so was it a hard flop?
Oh, I mean, the surprisingly the A pillar took a bigger dent than I expected, but like it didn't. It was not hard. No, I was basically already over, and then it just goes bonk, a little further.
Did you break any windows?
Nope.
Good, 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 good,
They were
good.
impressed that my windshield pillar, A pillar, the actual body got nicked a little bit, but the windshield didn't blow out, so that was all.
Did, uh, did you lose a bunch of trash like Curtis?
No.
No. That's
So,
funny.
yeah, that was my little flop there. We literally just I got back in it. Uh we put the winch to a tree and it pulled itself upright and then started it. I didn't have to pull any plugs like Curtis, but it wasn't fully over. It hadn't gone more than 90, so the motor wasn't eating anything crazy. And it started
Yep.
right back up, and then I finished it. And apparently I missed the spot that's supposed to smash your driver rocker because Chris was all like, "You're gonna go this way, and then it's gonna slam you back, and it's gonna hurt." So like, keep your tongue out of your fucking teeth or whatever, right? And I never hit it. It was like pretty soft going down. So, but that was a fun one. I enjoyed that. Uh, that second half of that trail was pretty fun. I definitely could have done it without flopping. I don't really know how it kicked me that way. It must have just been the rear axle in a weird spot and it dragged the front with it. Um, but yeah, that was that
I
spot,
was
and then I
laughing.
think
I was laughing with Caitlin because I was like, if we had stayed, that would have been you shoved into a rock, but we left. And
I was chuckling
oh, she
because
would
I
have
was
gotten out. She got out all the hard
oh
ones.
yeah, she was fine. Which one did I mean? She went up Jotters with you. She went up
No, she didn't go up Jotters. She did which one did she
what?
do?
Trail 5. She went up Trail 5, shoot the
Oh,
moon.
that's right. That's right. Yep.
Lame. She should have went up Jotters with you. Jotters is always one of those ones where it's like super easy, but because you're kind of going like at an angle across the rocks,
Oh,
it
I don't
always
know.
feels
My
weird.
my rig had trouble with Jotters. Even watching the video, it was like bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. It kept wanting to fucking kick me one way or the other, and it just wasn't. I feel like I've had better control going up that in the past. I don't know what the difference between this
your
time and
leaves
other
suck.
times was. I was gonna say that, but then you look at it on other obstacles, and it really wasn't doing that. Um,
No, but that's one of those obstacles where it collects all the like dust and dirt and crap that falls off of the top. So the bottom section you can get a little bit of slip going. I was Your Jeep just bounced up it for some reason, and I think that was it. Because once you got clear of the bottom section, it just went.
even at the like midsection, it was doing a little bit of a hoppy thing, but I don't know. It was a good that
Well,
one's always a
sounds
good
like you
warm up.
need a four link.
Oh, I mean, it needs four links for other reasons. I had a lot of
For
fun.
the centering pin breaking or for snapping the leaves? Which one are we referring to more?
I don't give a fuck about the centering pin. Centering pin we fixed that quick. 3/8 bolt or whatever it was from Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Uh, and we got that all sorted out. And I'm surprised that fucker held in when we
Dude, that
hit that
was
V-notch bit.
Dude, that was so fucking funny coming out of that little black trail. And Luke just looks over, he goes, is he like, would you call it dog walking? What's the term?
Dog
Yeah.
legging.
Dog legging? And I'm
Or-
like, yeah, he is. I'm like, that shit sideways. It was so funny.
Yeah. So I suppose we should probably go back just a little bit because like we've hopped around quite a bit already just on
Literally
Graham
and
stuff.
figuratively
Um,
on those leaf springs.
so like let's see. Friday everyone kind of showed up in a mismatched manner, like always happens when you have a big trip like this Thursday night. So Thursday night was kind of a quiet night. Everyone was exhausted from driving and everything. Friday morning, I don't know what time we got out. I'm gonna say it was probably around 10:30 because we got out a little bit earlier, not much earlier than everyone else, but we did get out a little bit earlier, or not everyone else, other days. Um, and so did the normal thing. We went out to Jotters. We just talked about that with Graham's Jeep going up there. Um, so there's a running theme of Cody was my passenger over the weekend and Caitlin rode with Graham for the majority of it. By the way, props to Cody's kidneys. Get to that later.
What? We'll get into it. Luke pretends like his Jeep doesn't have 1 inch of bump, like 1 inch of up travel, and then hard bump stops. So yeah.
So let's see. I started having running problems on the way into the trail. Jeep's not running right. Something's going on between the mass airflow because you disconnect the mass airflow and it gets better, except it won't rev above 3,000 RPMs now. That's cool. And something else. I don't know what else is going on, but I know that the mass airflow affects it. And if you disconnect the O2 sensor, it runs great for a half hour and then starts doing it again.
Yep.
Um, So I go hop up on Jotters, go to get into it in the middle line, or like closer to the middle line, but still slightly to the right, and the thing just stalled out, so I got to go hurling back down that. Crawled the right side on that, and then where did we go from there? We started heading off towards,
We went to the Trail 5 hill climb after Jotters.
yep, Trail 5 hill climb. That was cool. The Jeep just stuck to it, like no effort.
Yep.
The first time that we went up, it was just like boringly easy. Um, so then we did it again, and then or I bullied Sean into taking the Jeep, which was fun, and I think he needed that.
Yeah, he did it a few times. He was fucking loving it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. He was like, hops in. I'm like, yeah, you just put your tire, like one of them next to there's a little like raised section that's like 6 inches taller than the rest of the rock going up. Yeah, you just ride up that and then you go. You don't even like have to do anything. It just drives. So he did it, and then like my Jeep just goes disappearing down the green, and I'm like, huh, that's we totally forgot about the hatched endeavor too.
Oh God, yeah, the stupid hatch. I mean, it's not what we ripped the hatch off.
Yeah.
I forget, why did the hatch need to come off?
Because after the trail trash wheeling thing happened and I smashed it, it was like the final push on top of already having the tweaked unibody to make it so it won't open. So, like, it's constantly under pressure and you have to shove it all the way over, even with it adjusted to the furthest point in the holes to get it to, like, try and line up.
Gotcha.
And it, so, like, I had to climb through my cage over the fuel cell and stick a wrench in it to get it to break loose. It bound up that bad. And then we ripped it off with a 3/4 inch M18.
Yep.
Put some gas in it and away we went.
I totally forgot that was a 3/4 inch.
Yep.
I thought you were using a 1/2 inch.
Nope.
The funniest part to me was when you guys were doing the leaf springs, and I'm like, guys, take the fucking or the U-bolts was the U-bolts, but guys, take the little like adjuster or whatever the extension off, and you're like, no, this is an adapter. I'm like, what? Yeah, this is a 3/4. Oh shit, that's a big gun, and it's still not taking those off. Holy shit! Like
Those have
that's
not
like,
been off in a long time. I was scared that
could
they were
tell.
gonna snap.
Um, so we go over to the Trail 5 hill climbs, and we had everyone together kind of as a group. Josie was there, Colin was there, JB, Miguel. I think it was everyone, right?
Yeah, that was the whole group.
yeah,
Yeah, so everyone did that. And then there's the buggy line, and that was rough. Just like, first of all, Dan, no offense, you suck at spotting.
yeah, agreed. I
And
agree.
you shout louder than I shout. Uh,
Yeah.
so that was fun. JB almost got up it. Miguel, did he get up it? I can't remember.
Miguel walked it. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
Miguel
that was
up
like
that
the
pretty
oddest
quick.
thing because everybody else I saw go up that was having trouble, but that rig just
School
took
bus.
it.
Yeah. Wheelbase, I guess.
Wheelbase
42s,
and
43s.
43 stickies. I mean, Mikey got up it pretty quick.
That's
It
because
still took
Mikey's
longer
a
for Mikey.
psycho.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
Mikey went down it. The dude's literally fucked in the head. Like, who looks at that and goes, yeah, that looks fun, and then drives down it? That's psychotic.
The
He
funniest
just-
part
he
is
knows his
how
rig. He's a good driver.
He's
Yeah, I
a
give him
really good
credit.
driver. But he's
Uh,
fucking psychotic.
it was cool though watching how he did it because he just disengaged the rear axle, held the cutting brakes, and popped the clutch and just let it go. What is that? 7-1 first and 4-1 transfer case, and the front tires just like pulled him down while the
Yeah.
rear was just like locked up.
Yep.
It was cool as hell to watch. Definitely different. Ayashua's old buggy struggled there compared to that XJ buggy that Miguel's running, which was weird. And then Curtis flopped.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty like
We could
gnarly.
we should let him talk about it. You know,
We'll just say it was a gnarly flop, and we'll let him go on.
It
next
wasn't
week.
a roll. It was a flop. You're right.
Yeah, no, it didn't roll. It like
It
the
kind of
nose
just
picked up and like just kind of meandered off into space.
slammed down on that one side.
Yeah, let's put it this way: if his passenger was stupid, his passenger could have gotten really fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
there was definitely a moment where I was like, I hope he kept his fucking arms in. Like, yeah, I'm sure as you've seen on the videos, how it rolled, and we can kind of let him talk about how he felt it. But I think he got lucky, but also not lucky. Like, it could have just flopped on its side, but then it went like not end over end, but it like kind of went an extra few feet onto its top.
Yeah, all the
Went up.
Cherokee without a true C pillar. Just look at the pictures of. I don't know if he'll post pictures of it, but
He already has.
oh yeah, well if you
Yeah,
had a
he
C
got-
pillar, you wouldn't have had nearly as much work to do. I don't know if he still probably would have had work to do because it crushed that tube, but damn, it wouldn't have crushed in that far.
No,
I
it got it pretty
think-
good.
We'll let him talk about it on his episode, but I think that the next step for him is just moving that thing more towards buggy, and it'll be cool to watch.
Oh, he's already complaining. I didn't want to fix it. I want to make a new Jeep. But yeah, we'll let him figure that out and talk
All right.
about it.
Is this where we get to bully him?
Yes.
I think
Okay.
we get to bully him once he's here, though.
Yeah, no. Wait. Let's leave Curtis out of it.
I
'cause
just
he's
want to
coming
bully
on.
him. Sorry.
You can't bully
Um,
him if he's not here. That's just hazing or not.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's the word for that.
Harassment.
Harassment. Yeah.
He deserves it though. Slut. But yeah, that was a good time. It definitely that sequence of events not directly related to him definitely cut the day short. I would say, or
I didn't cut the day
Make-
short. We just spent a lot of time at Trail 5. We had already
I think
spent
that
like a
that's a
couple
better way to
hours
say
there,
it.
and then, the Rockaholics guys showed up, so we hung out, watched them do stuff, and then Curtis rolled it, so we had to, unfuck that. And then I think at that point, we were all hungry. We went back. That was
Yeah.
it.
I shouldn't have said cut it short, but maybe like press the pause button because we probably could have gone over to the ledges off of A Trail on the way back, and that would have been cool. But it was what it was.
Well, we kind of tried that. Going from after we left Jotters, we kind of tried to go over to. Or was that the next day?
That was the next day we weren't. I forget how that shook out too. Oh, yeah, the next day we wanted to go and do that, but we kind of got handicapped by Mr. Dogleg over there.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my spring guide.
Oh.
Common
And
theme.
so-
Speaking on that really quick, if you have a vehicle that is at least semi capable, don't fucking do snake bite. It is terrible. There's a reason we've never done the trail, so I was like, oh guys, let's go check it out. This could be cool. It was the most annoying. It was like a tiny rock creek, so it's just basketball sized rocks on top of each other the whole fucking
Oh, it was
way.
just annoying.
was
I was just
terrible.
trying to fly through it. I was like, this is dumb. I just want to get out of it. The whole
it was-
way.
So don't do it. Whatever you do, don't go to that side of the park. It's not even worth it. Or at least that little tail end. It's fucking
Yeah, shoot
stupid.
the moon, then no further. I don't think,
Yeah.
unless Camelback or whatever it was, is better. I don't know. I didn't see that one. I don't
We
think
were
so,
gonna
though.
go and try and hit that, but like if it's over on that side of the park, I'm gonna make a bold statement and say that I probably don't want none anymore.
Well,
Um,
the only reason we missed it was because Caitlin is the worst map reader ever. Like it's great. She's
I
a
literally
smart girl
saw
when it
it.
comes.
I saw it, and I was like, "That's the one we want to go on." And she was like, "No, it's down there." And I was like,
Yeah, so
"Okay."
it was like where the trail was that said "do not enter." It was like 10 feet from it,
Yeah.
and it was kind of overgrown, and it was fine. But yeah, she cannot read a map. I'm
Well, it's
literally
like every
back.
time I'd come up to a fork, I'd be like, "Okay, which way are we going?" And she'd be like, I'd be like, "What's the point of watching the map if you don't know?"
Dude, after you broke and like we were trying to go back, you guys missed 2 rights
I
that would
know,
have brought us
I know.
straight. And like I'm just sitting there, I'm like, they should have took that one. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, we'll follow them. Maybe they're taking the next one. Then you guys missed another. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? And I just at that
Did
point,
you
once
see
you
me
got
like
to,
go straight in some of those intersections to the point where I was like nearly hitting the edge of the trail because I was like, which way are we going? And then I just made up my mind and it was always wrong. Every time I made
yeah.
a decision, it was wrong.
Opposite of what you decide.
Clearly.
Well, we'd be at a four-way, and like he would just go straight. The I don't know where I'm going. We're going straight.
Yes.
It was funny.
Straight brings you
So,
back.
I don't know if we want to cover me blowing the Dana 60 axle shaft on the comp course because that was kind of terrible.
I didn't hear
Tell
about
us
that.
about it.
So
Yeah, me either.
You did.
Uh, so I forget what I was doing. I was doing something with the rig, and Dan came over, and I was just talking with him, and I was like, get in. And so we go harness up, and it's probably like, I don't know, I think it was like 7 something at that point. So you're really not supposed to go out after dusk, but like we just went to the comp course and it was dusk-ish. So I was making fun of him and giggling the whole time about, how he needs to fix his rig, and we hit you know how on the comp course there's like if you pull in the ledges right in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
We went right up that, like at the back side of it, that flat wall. I just booted it up that on rev limiter because I was being a hooligan and you just have traction. And so we did that. I came down next to it, or I looped down around, went to the next ledge over, and we just kept like hopping our way down the ledges. We ended up circling back, hitting the ledges on the back side of the comp course where it's got like that little offshoot. And then we went back and I was like, man, I shouldn't hit that V notch. I'm gonna hit that V notch.
which one
So
was that? I was because we were playing over there and I didn't see exactly what you got bound up on. Was it like
it's the one where you do the step up into it,
Mhm.
and then you've got the V right past that, and then the sharp drop off behind it.
Gotcha. Was that past the ledge?
It was like
There's
all
like
the way
stair
at the
ledges
end.
and then the normal ledge and then a little
Yep.
further was that? Yeah.
Yep. So I hopped up into there, Dan's laughing and he's like, this thing just goes. And I'm like, yep, cool. We're gonna do this. So I got into it and it was a V notch, so I just kind of nosed my tires up. Well, the front climbed it and the rear didn't. I wedged both rims into the rocks and the tires just wouldn't go. And so I started having running problems, and we ended up calling Miguel to come and bail us out. So I don't know why it started running right again, but it did start running right again. And so I got it to back up a couple of inches, and then I tried to climb it again, and it didn't want to go. So I just booted it. And when both of the tires hit, it snapped the axle shaft with a loud pop. And then for some reason, the Jeep just jumped in the rear. And I went flying over, hit the brakes, didn't almost endo, completely unloaded the rear suspension, punched it again. It settled back down, turned around, and we went back to camp. And I thought I broke like a 1310 drive shaft. So didn't really think anything about it, and I think Cody, you got in with me to go and pay the next morning, and it was making some horrendous noises.
Yep.
Uh,
I thought it
and
was inner shaft, but it makes sense that it was the what it was. You can finish. Sorry, Luke.
no, I'll let you pick up because I was that whole thing afterwards is kind of a blur because of how quick we ran through that.
Yeah,
Um,
because as we were coming over, as we were going over to pay, it was just like a clunk, 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 but it wasn't impeding the vehicle. You know, if like it was a ring and pinion, it would kind of limit, like when it would clunk, you would probably feel that gap where it really wasn't under load. And so I just kind of assumed it was like inner shaft, but it turns out it was the outer shaft. It snapped right at the unit bearing, and then it took out the unit bearing with it. Is that right?
would be correct, yeah.
And it was quite comical because Luke was like, Oh yeah, I fucked it. He just went to his truck, grabbed all the parts, started ripping it apart, and then you could finish that.
So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I've got two spare unit bearings. I've got an already assembled spare shaft. This is good. Everything here is great. I'm gonna go and put my lug nuts on now. Well, the unit bearings are coarse thread. The Jeep is fine thread. So it took me like 35 minutes to get everything swapped. I would say that's like pretty reasonably spaced on time. So I'm like, I start calling around and I'm trying to like measure out, the distance to go and get the parts. Oh shit, there's a junkyard here. I'm gonna call this junkyard. They've got an hour and a half till they close. Oh, well, no one's in the yard anymore. I called like tire shops and stuff trying to just find like the right lug nuts so I didn't have to pull it apart again. Nothing's working. I've got another unit bearing in the truck, so I was like, hey, Graham, you want to start pounding the studs out of the dead unit bearing, put them into the new unit bearing, and I'll disassemble it. And I think we got it done in what, 15 minutes between pulling the unit bearing back out, reassembling everything, and getting it back on its own weight.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
a little
I think
more
it's
than
exact-
that. I think they did start timing you at one point, but I don't think that was till after I was done sweatshopping those studs out.
No,
Okay,
that
it
was
was
before
15
then.
minutes
Was it?
from.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it was right as he started ripping it off. She started it for 10 minutes. And then after that, after the 10-minute timer ran out, she did 5. And then he was pretty much done. I think it might have been like 16:22, but like it was close. It was very close.
Hmm.
Yep. And so everyone else had gotten impatient, but bless
Well, they had
Ryan's
left,
heart.
right? Yeah, everybody left.
Yep.
They were
Yeah,
waiting on you.
fuck
And
Ryan.
Ryan
both
was
these-
like, what was it that Ryan said? Ryan's like, honestly, they're gonna end up leaving. You're like 10 minutes away from being done. That's a big group.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wait right here. We'll figure this out. We can go and connect with them or do something else. And so that's how that happened. And we went out to what was it? We did shoot the moon first, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think we just shot straight over there.
We played on the quarry trails a little bit. There was a big old group of JKs there.
Yeah, they did the quarry trail, turned around, and then kept going.
Yeah, it was weird. So like we kind of pulled in. I think Graham, what was it? We checked something on my rig with Ryan helping me do that. You dropped your tools. It was like a weird situation there.
What do you
Oh,
mean I
right,
dropped my
right.
tools? I left them for you
You-
because you were looking at something and I was going up.
No, no, that's what I meant. You dropped them out of your Jeep and you went off up the quarry trail.
Yeah.
My upper link bolt came loose. That's what it was on the axle side.
Oh, that's right. You were complaining about that. I was like, well, the nut is hand turnable, so that's probably part of your problem.
Things came loose every fucking wheeling trip at this point. I'm like,
Yeah, there's always that one bolt that keeps coming loose, right? I've got my passenger link always comes loose, both jam nuts. I gotta figure that out. I don't want to
That's
Loctite
weird.
because I'll never get it off.
Loctite blue.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. If I assume at some point I'll tighten it enough and then it'll stay. But
Or you've got like a Johnny joint that's just like cocked in there, and then when it flexes, it.
I would not be
lifts it
surprised.
up.
Um, those poor
That's
things.
probably the simple solution. So, anyways, Graham shoots the moon, and it was kind of uneventful. We've been taking the hard side of that, if you will, and it's pretty entertaining watching the Jeeps just kind of like flop over it.
Yeah. I mean, then again, you guys have done it so many times now.
Oh yeah,
that you know the
that
line, you
obstacle
know-
never doesn't change that much, or it hasn't changed that much in the years that we've gone there. If anything, it just gets easy. It's gotten easier the past few years.
I think our rigs have gotten better. I don't think it's actually gotten that much easier.
Yeah, I guess
It's
that's a
far
good
more
point.
washed out.
Every time I've done it before, I had 37, so I guess my idea of it getting easier is just I now have more clearance. I could do it
Yeah.
before, and now I just have more. So I guess that's a good point.
Like last time I did it, I was on leaf springs. in the rear, and this time it was just kind of like bonk, and then get the driver's side tire up the outer wall, and when it finally stopped going, Cody was like, "Yeah, just cut passenger a little bit," and I didn't even have to bump it or anything. I just kind of cut the wheel passenger until it
Yeah.
went. And I like fell into the, I fell off the top of the 6 foot tall rock, just dropped in, kissed the side of the door, and up it went. That was that. I've
I
got a
think,
picture. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think Ryan made it actually look the easiest. He just literally just went bloop bloop like right up, and that was hysterical.
Yeah, yeah.
Thing with the doubler in it is entertaining as hell because he's already a good driver, but like now he just doesn't even like work at it.
I always
it
forget
needs
it's carbureted too. He rarely has issues with that.
he has a
Now,
lot of issues going down stuff.
Hmm.
It seems like it floods out going down stuff, at least from the time that I was following or wheeling with him around with him. And I do
Yeah.
feel bad for Ryan on this little endeavor too. Before we get to the second part of Shoot the Moon. That poor guy had to follow us being idiots all day.
oh yeah, yeah, you guys were not nice to nice. Well, yes and no. I mean, you guys were just shredding, and he just took his time. He's like, "I'll get there when I get there." Hopefully, they stop at every turn.
We did for the most part. I tried to like always. I forget. You guys were in front, right?
No, you were in front.
Oh, I was. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, yeah, you were
Yeah.
moving.
Oops.
We were moving. Like that whole day we were moving. But yeah. So we're following Graham and Ryan. Yeah, and Ryan. And I just watched Graham go up the red obstacle side of Shoot the Moon. And he just goes. And then
I was
You know-
surprised because nobody was spotting me. Kate was in the truck, and we were just sitting there. Like I tried the normal line that I usually do, and it was kind of working, but kind of not. But then that whole right side was more dug out, so it gave you more options, and I just kind of turned my wheels that way, and it just went up. I don't even know what it did, but I didn't. There was no throttle required really. Just kind of went.
I think it was wheelbase. I think your axle was wide enough to clear that rock that was limiting Luke to go up right,
That's true.
and then
I forget Luke's narrower.
So yeah, you hit just like the perfect line that it grabbed and went up. And I think Ryan had the same issue where like his tire was bumping the rock that was stopping him, and he wasn't getting enough drive to actually kind of crawl up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed. You one-shotted it, no problem at all. Went straight up it. It was sick.
Yeah, and that's always been a throttle fest in the past. I still like my rock is now cracked and broken in a different spot now. That was cool.
Yeah, that was quite funny to see. I don't know if we spoke on it much last year, but when Graham went up that, he split a massive rock in half and then moved it out of its way and then kept going. Just used the Data 50 as a plow. It was hysterical.
Yeah, yeah. That was wild. Like that time I was beating the crap out of that thing trying to get it up and it wouldn't go. So it was just kind of a shock to see it just crawl it this time.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool for sure.
And on the note of just kind of booting around through those side trails, I know I've kind of was on the fence about whether the coilovers and air bumps and stuff in the front were worth it. Even with the back being what it is right now, noticeable improvement with some speed. I definitely need to adjust where those the springs are, the halfway point in the springs where it starts engaging the second spring. But like it was way, way better than my old coil and shock setup.
That's awesome.
Like,
That's
it was
really good to hear. I'm impressed. I mean, literally, with when me and Luke were bombing down trail, I genuinely think that Luke just either A, doesn't care or forgets that he has zero up travel. So we'll be going along and it's just slam, 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 brah, slam, 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 and then just keep going. And it's like, holy shit. Then as we were going through the green, we were going through the green that crosses.
Moving.
Yeah, or not to mention the jump that you hit. That wasn't even really a fucking jump. We're
that
coming
little dirt
across.
pile. I saw that
Dude.
way back.
Oh god, we're going down the green trail that passes right next to the graveyard. and there's like this little gravel like 3 foot mound on the right side and like 1.5 on the left side. And he's coming at it, and all of a sudden he just fucking like he doesn't drop a gear, he fucking upshifts. So I'm like, oh fuck, we're going for this. And he hits this thing, and now in my head I'm like, okay, yeah, I've jumped quads, dirt bike, shit like that. Usually when the right side is higher than the right side is going to be jumping a lot higher than the left side. But somehow we fucking hit this thing. Right side comes up, left side comes up. We're fucking dead flat. We hit the ground. He keeps on moving, and it really wasn't that bad. I don't know how, but it fucking did it. It's
we
impressive.
hit like, oh sorry.
You just said it was impressive.
Oh, okay. We hit like what was it? On the power, not the power line black trail, but the one that runs like past Jotters.
Mhm.
Moving back through there, we managed to hit like 60 on the way back out on what was it, Saturday? We were fucking hauling.
Yeah, there was definitely a few times where we were fucking moving, and I'm impressed. You can drive. You definitely overshoot things quite often, but that's half the fun.
Overshoot, do you mean just like blow past where I was supposed to go, or
Yes, yeah, you definitely
Okay.
overshoot corners for sure.
It did happen a time or two. I won't deny that I did have to throw it into reverse a couple times. And Cody, the reason that I kept like hitting stuff fast is because I got sick of the 5 mile an hour thud, thud, thud. Like
Yeah.
it felt like hitting stuff at like 25. It was much more mild of a hit, or it was a quicker hit, because we were like starting to bridge the gaps, if you will. So that thing needs up travel, and it needs like
Yeah.
shocks.
I'd say nice shocks, little softer bumps up front, and that thing would definitely be pretty smooth across.
Just throw some 2-inch bumps in. I'm not like it. Find them for a good deal. It could be any brand. It'd be better than the rubbers.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just all of that stuff up front needs to go. The front end's barely hanging on. The only good part about it is the links themselves and the actual build on the suspension. Like I think that everything else in there just needs to go.
I
The
agree.
coils are fired. The bumps need to go. The Bilsteins are great on your daily driver, but I don't know if they're quite as nice as the Pro Fenders in the rear.
Oh, 100% no. My Bilsteins,
You
I mean,
know.
granted, mine were shot on my Jeep, but like, whew, they weren't doing.
These
Like,
are
you could
brand
tell.
new.
Like, oh, really? They're brand new.
I put them on at
Were you
literally
feeling
right
them wear
before
out?
Harlem.
Like, I could. Sorry,
I
cut you
felt
off.
them fading.
Yeah, I could feel mine fading every time I had them at Roush in years past. You'd be going like from one side of the property to the other, and by the end, you'd feel the fade, which is weird because we don't generally have enough time to fade a shock out in New England, so it was kind of a it's one of
It's
the
a
nice
different thing.
nice things about Roush is that it puts your shocks through more paces, I think.
I think like on Trail 1 at AOP, I can get them to start fading, but it's not the same thing as like literally running for, a half mile all out, like just cutting across that one trail that runs across the back of the park at like 35, 40 miles an hour. And, I got to give Cody a ton of credit for taking or for the pounding his kidneys got, if you will. But yeah, I need horsepower up travel and coilovers.
Well, no, you just need a motor that runs right,
Horsepower.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Mine started running a little hot by the end of. So after like all the wheeling was done, I went with Chris and Mike to. We were trying to go to Red Lion, but Red Lion was closed, so we ended up going to like the Christian log cabin, as they were joking. And my not on the way there, but on the way back, thing was overheating a little bit, not a lot, but then it's just randomly just puked out coolant, which it hasn't done in a long time. So I don't know what it did to it, but needs to be
Wait, you
looked at.
guys went to dinner at that log cabin place?
Yeah, well, we tried to go to Red Lion.
I
We tried to go to Red
uh-huh.
Lion, and it didn't work out. So then we went. We backtracked to the
A
log
far
cabin place.
ways too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not
Like
a short
most,
distance
no,
between
like
those.
mostly back in the direction, right? Because that's closer to Roush.
Mhm.
I'll make a quick detour here into that. So Chris was joking around. He's like, "I'm gonna be a child and get the chicken strips,"
Yep, yep.
and the lady overheard him and gave him the kids' chicken strips.
Oh my god.
So instead of four, he got two. He got this tiny little plate with two chicken strips on it and a couple. And what else did he get? Like
Handful of French fries or
beans and
something.
fries. It was really funny.
That's fucking hysterical.
It was $3 though. He only spent $3 on food.
That's it. So that's funny because Chris was literally saying that that place is absolutely trash for food. So I'm surprised that he would.
It's not great. I don't have any. We didn't get Red Lion, so I don't know what the difference
Oh,
is there.
dude, Red Lion was solid. Yeah, I thought Chris said when he invited me and Kate out to dinner, I thought he was like, "Yeah, I asked everybody else, nobody wanted to go." That was not the case.
You
He
were
just,
supposed to tell everyone, and you didn't.
no, 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 no. That's not true. That's not true at
That's
all.
what he
didn't.
said. That's what he
He's a
said.
lying dickhead if he says that, because that is not what was said at all. But yeah, we left, and that was a solid chef's kiss. It was a quality dinner. It was great.
The French fries from that were delicious. Thank you, Caitlin.
Yeah, it was good. It was good food, man. It was good food. But don't you start with me, Mister. We cooked you dinner on Saturday, so you got food.
I don't
You
know
got
how I
fed.
managed to get away with getting food nearly every day. Like I didn't like. I'm grateful for everyone who provided me food. It wasn't required. I could have figured my shit out, but every time I'd go over to somebody's little hangout spot, they'd be like, "Hey, you want food?" It's like, "Sure," and then I go to the other one. I swear, it's probably the best fed of everybody.
I think it's because we just all have learned that you don't bring food on your own, or you do, and it's just I don't know, you just don't cook it or whatever. So everybody's just like, "Oh, well, Graham's here, time to feed him."
You know, funny thing about that, and I'm gonna throw Curtis under the bus, and I'll throw him under the bus again. I was like talking with him because I wanted to make sure that I had food and everything else planned, and he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Nick's bringing food." And I'm like, "Well, if Nick's bringing food down, I'm gonna throw him some money. How much do you think I should throw him?" He's like, just bring $100. So I'm like, all right, $100 for the whole weekend.
He
Bet.
got a lot of food,
He
and he did
did.
that the first year he came too. Like,
Yep.
great dude. I mean, he spent like hundreds of dollars on food.
Yep.
Really cool dude.
So I go to
Curtis or
try
his
and
friend
Huh?
did. Curtis or his friend did.
Nick, his friend.
Nick.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I go to try and give Nick the money. Curtis didn't apparently talk to him that well about all of this, and he's like, "No, I'm not taking your money." I'm like, "Take at least $20. I am not going to eat all of your food all weekend if you don't at least take $20." And so I ended up finally bullying him into taking $20, and he did not seem happy about it. Oh man, breakfast was banging that entire trip. Like,
Oh yeah, it was for me too. Burger King set me good.
Oh yeah, yeah they set me good too. I got free delivery too. It was perfect.
Dude, honestly though, I actually enjoy Burger King breakfast. Not many
Those
other.
little biscuit things aren't bad. I'll give you that.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I'm telling you.
And
like having that
also,
little truck stop there
Yeah.
makes it so much nicer because Roush doesn't really have any like facilities. You can just go there and grab your coffee in the morning, grab some waters and Gatorades, and it's great for the unprepared masses.
Yeah, that's for sure.
yeah, I would have liked to have more time to actually grab some things. It just sucks when I literally there was no time to prep. Like I probably trying to think. I literally barely had time to pack my own like clothes and like tools and stuff. That was like all I had time for. Um where it was I was going somewhere with that. I don't know why I just totally lost my train of thought here. And I didn't have I didn't take my truck, so like all my shit was like either in the Jeep or the stuff that was in my truck ended up transferred, but Colin's truck was full of shit, like couldn't bring things there. So I ended up like
Why?
unprepared because of just lack of all the stuff that I usually keep in my truck that, acts as like my phone charger and all my other stuff. Also, Luke, you stole my phone charger. It's fine, but I just thought it was funny that it disappeared to Tennessee. Uh,
I will mail that to you because
you
I was
don't need to
quite
mail it. It's
by
it's
that.
like a shitty. It's not even. It's an off-brand charger that I probably got at a gas station. Just keep it. I'll
Why?
see you
Why
next.
didn't you take your truck?
Um, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I think it was mostly just lack of communication. My Jeep was supposed to be on JB's trailer, and then Colin's Jeep was supposed to be behind his truck, on his trailer, or on JB's trailer, or yeah, on his trailer. We were supposed to take his trailer, but what ended up happening is they loaded Colin's Jeep on JB's trailer, and then or his gooseneck, and then I took JB's little trailer with my Jeep. So he brought the trailer down to me Thursday night or Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning we loaded it all up, and then we brought it down. And then because Colin was already set on taking his truck, I guess, because there was miscommunication again as to uh, concerns about my truck. I didn't have any concerns about my truck. I mean, there are a couple things that I'd like to address on it for sure that I didn't have time to, but I think it would have made the drive just fine. Either way, we had already planned on taking Colin's, so um, you know, we hooked it up to Colin's truck and took Colin's truck. I'm not gonna complain if you wanted to take it, the thing, but and it was fun driving it. That thing drives real fucking nice. I'm excited to do the manual swap on mine because it's a lot of fun driving the manual. Um, and that thing's just got a bunch of power too. And he didn't even put it in like that high of a. Uh,
Tune setting.
I think it was like two or something. He put it in, and I mean, granted, I've never driven a heavy duty manual like that, so that was kind of interesting. I was also completely sleep deprived. Um, the drive from Beverly to the Framingham area was like, I was like nearly falling asleep, nodding off. Just basically um, trying to hold my shit together because I was like, I just have to get here, and then there will be people here, and then I won't be tired, or I'll be able to keep myself awake. I'll be doing different things. Like I'm not just gonna be driving my truck; it'll be driving something else. We'll be going somewhere cool, and then all of this tiredness will go away. And that is exactly what happened. But that was probably the sketchiest part of the whole drive for me was getting over there. And then, but obviously, this goes back to me trying to back the trailer up a couple trips ago when we were going to Tennessee. I literally couldn't do it. I couldn't fucking do it. I was too tired. Like my brain just like wouldn't put two and two together. It was horrible. Like I know like how to back up a trailer. My brain was just like, no, you don't. Shut up. Like you cannot get this thing straight for shit. And yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
So funny.
I'm not great at
So
backing up a trailer. I don't do it every day. I'm an IT guy, but I definitely can do better than I was doing then. Um, it's just funny how shitty your brain works when you're tired. But yeah, then I drove Colin's truck and it woke me right up because it was cool and it just did its thing. It drives on rails compared to like the second gen, that's for sure. Now I'm jealous. It's like shit. I should have bought a fourth gen.
You still can. You got time.
I don't wanna. I mean, I
No,
do,
you're
but
gonna
I do, but I don't because
just
that
hydro assist your truck. It'll be fucking mint. You know that.
that would be cool.
Yes.
That'd do it. That'd make it drive on rails.
See, now there we go. Or just full hydro and go
I
full
probably
nuts.
it doesn't even. It
Yeah, now it'll be rails.
realistically, I just need to like the suspension on that thing hasn't been touched in 22 years. If I freshen up a few things, I'm sure it'll be better. I know there's ways to tighten the steering and all that up too. So eventually we'll get to it. Australia's fine for me for now. I don't really care. it doesn't drive like a new car, but I didn't buy it expecting it to drive like a new car, new truck. So,
Does it drive better than your last truck?
no. The GMC
Oh
drove fucking
fuck.
tits because it's
Oh
the
god.
IFS.
I hate the IFS.
The IFS drives amazing. I never touched
Eh.
that thing, and the bushings in that, no shot they weren't blowing the fuck out. But that thing drove amazing. Uh, I will not deny that the GMC had better interior and better front suspension than the Dodge does, but that's just what you get when you go from IFS to solid axle.
Yeah, I just really don't like the four-wheel drive on the IFS. It feels fucking goofy.
I never minded it. It wasn't horrible. Mine always worked. I never had an issue with it. That was the big thing. It was like, oh, those electronic transfer cases. And I think we've even talked about this on the podcast, always. But it never gave me a problem. The only time I really needed it or really used it was when we were in the snow or driving up well, I guess I never really towed with it because it broke the fucking hitch off. But um, in the snow, it just plow through. Didn't care. Never broke anything. I had to back out of my apartment driveway one time, and it was like during that big snowstorm, and I was like,
Yep.
I'm not shoveling. You're backing out of this, you piece of shit. And it did. It did it. Took a little bit, but got out.
That's funny. But yeah, so
What else are we missing here? We talked about the first 2 days. Well, yeah, I guess we sort of, as far as timeline goes, we're back at. We kind of went out of order here. Luke broke his hub. Then we did trails. Then I broke my leaf pin.
centering pin.
And then did we go
Ooh,
back
we could
out
talk
after
about.
that?
No, I think we then cut it short there. We then started cooking. We could talk about the V notch. We don't have to talk about the other two individuals that went through it, but we can talk about your little escapade through it, which was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
fucking
that was
cool.
fun. It was a spark show. I had a lot of fun making that little reel with just all of the sparks on. I thought that was hilarious. Um, um,
I was fucking impressed you even put tire on it. Like that was impressive to me because that was a pretty gnarly. It's like a little hidden gem in the trail system too. I was not expecting that to be the what we were going to like. We were at Graveyard. We were literally in the trailhead,
oh,
and then
that's right, because
Colin
we
was
had
like,
done Yellow Jacket right before that, right? We
"Yeah,
had gone down, we hit Yellow Jacket. Luke fell in the hole. He's handing a tool to somebody working on a truck, I guess, so he's actually muted right now, but he'll be back in a second. I'm sure he'd love to talk about that. He fell in a hole. We had to drag him out of that. I took a middle line because Dan was like, "Take this line." I was like, "Okay, watch me," and so we did it. Um, I
It
like
was a
Yellow
pretty
Jacket.
stupid line to be
It
to
was. It
be
was very
fair.
dumb.
It was, but it was hysterical. Like that's the type of shit I do, where everybody does like the one line, and I'm like,
Well, it's
nah, I
different,
want to see
right?
if I can find
I've
that.
walked that middle line. I walked the middle line that everybody does on 37s. Like, I don't know how I did it, but it did it just fine. So I figured, well, I don't really. Luke's way didn't. I got out and looked at the way Luke was going, and other than that, you can hit that back ledge, which wasn't even that crazy. Like, you're just doing a drop and then going around the obstacle. So
Yeah,
when Colin or Dan or whoever it was like, do the middle one, I was like, yeah, that looks kind of cool. We'll try it. And we got hung up, but it was still funny.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was cool for sure.
And I don't know why Yellow Jacket, even for a blue, it's a ton of fun. There's just so many different little like offshoots and ways for it to hang you up. It's a good little trail.
Yeah, I mean I think it's a quite a cool trail, honestly, for being a blue. I mean it's tight, it's technical, like it's a solid blue for sure.
Yeah, it was a good trail. I like that one. And it's like the rock formation is just cool too. Like it's like this
Yeah.
angled, like it's got to be granite, but like it doesn't really look like a granite formation in my opinion. It's kind of weird.
Hmm.
But yeah, then after that we scooted over. We were gonna hit Cemetery, which is
A
also a cool
cemetery.
trail that we didn't hit, or Tombstone, whichever one. Both those are cool. Um, then we shot over to the V Notch, which I actually had talked with Nick Barrett about before we even went to Roush, he had hit those. I think he was even saying when we were there, he hit it a couple weeks ago, and it like dragged his whole body up.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, so I was like, huh. Well, I want to, and I had told him then. I was like, I want to try that. So as soon as they were like, yeah, we're going to V-Notch, I was like, oh shit, this is the one we talked about. I want to try that. And I knew if I had made it into the same spot that he had made it, my body wouldn't have fared nearly as bad as his because he doesn't have an exo cage. He didn't have any tube to roll off of. I do.
True.
So I wasn't really concerned about. I mean, I wouldn't be concerned anyways, but I wasn't worried about the body turning into a fucking crushed can, so to speak. Uh, but I don't know. And I think Chris even said it after. I had no business on that trail, and that's 100% true. But it was a ton of fun, and definitely was a fun little show with that leaf spring.
What, the notch?
Yeah.
V-Notch.
Sorry
I think
about
you had no. No, you're good. I think you had no business, but if you had did it, that'd been pretty fucking
Oh,
cool.
it would have been legendary. And like there was,
Oh yeah.
having looked at the videos, I don't know if I would have made it through. If I had gotten up that, I don't know if I would have been able to actually get out of it. But had I heated the tires up a little bit more, it might have grabbed instead of just bounced. And it might have made it through. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard call. The leaf spring smacking every 3 seconds was a ticking time bomb, though, that was going to rip the whole leaf out at some point. It sounded abysmal from in the cab, and it didn't look that pretty from Ryan's point of view either. What?
It wasn't that pretty.
No, it was pretty nasty.
I mean, you almost had it, but then you would have just gotten hamstrung by like the departure angle, the non-DOT or the DOT tires at the top.
I don't think the DOTs are an excuse at Roush, honestly. They grip
I think
like
right at the top.
yeah, everything's
because-
easier with a red, or a sticky, but you're not I don't think that's
Well, everyone that
necessarily
made
a
it through
requirement
there.
for some of that stuff. Yeah, they had 42 stickies. Of course it did. But that's
Well, can I finish my thought?
no.
Okay.
Yes, you can finish it.
Everyone that made it through there, the reason I brought the DOTs up is because they were all spinning their front tires while they were pulling their rear axle with neither fucking tire connected.
Well, I
in the
can
back
put the
over
front
that
dig
one.
on, heat the fronts, leave the backs.
You
That'd
can.
go.
I'm just saying, like, I think that the stickies were definitely helping everyone that made it there at that one top section on the last rock on the way out.
Oh yeah, 100%. But if I had to get winched out the last little bit and I didn't break, I'd still be happy. Like, I wouldn't care at that point. I know that top twists people up, and when both Curtis and Jason got kind of bound up top, I knew if I actually made it, it would be a mess getting me out of the top. And then seeing Sean blow that hub, like it would have been messy. But
Sean also wasn't really listening, to be honest with you. He was kind of just shoving the rig in and hoping that it was gonna stick. Like they were telling him how to do it, and he just wasn't listening. That's a part of it.
Sean.
But
Yeah.
I
That was a good
wasn't
time.
really listening on the backside of Shoot the Moon either. I just kept getting pissed. So
Oh yeah,
I
you were
get it.
grumpy. You were like, I don't need, it's not grabbing. It's done.
Dude, I watched the videos back on that. I learned a lot just from watching the videos.
Oh yeah, it's funny how much you learn about how you were fucking up or what you were doing well when you're watching videos of yourself.
So goddamn close too.
Oh, I know.
Uh,
That's why it was annoying because you were right fucking there.
I was right fucking there, and it kept being the rear tires kecking me.
Yep.
Like
I mean,
they
cocking.
would get hung up on something, and then it would just stop the whole Jeep, and it did not want to go. But
Weird.
it looked like I had the most success, like on that far left line, if I had cut into it right as it started to climb to go passenger.
Yeah, and that's the original line for that side that I remember taking on the 37s is you have to line yourself up with that ledge, that little ramp thing, and just gun it, and it'll kick you where you need to go as long as you don't
Further
stay.
left than that.
Oh, you mean the left line entirely?
Yeah.
Is this on the video that I took before my phone died?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that was you almost
Uh,
had that line too. I guess you're right. The other
I
line is
was
definitely
closer
easier.
on that line than the other line, though. Like, if I had cut into it while it was rolling on the far line, I would have made it.
Yep.
Because it would have caused the spot that the rear tires both hit at the same time to have not gotten hung up, and it would have steered me away from that boulder that I could see from in the cab. Also, it's incredibly frustrating when you like can start piecing stuff together from what's going on outside to what you were thinking in the cab and what you could see in the cab.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that goes to like they're looking at the videos of me doing V-notch. Like it really like everybody was telling me that all this crazy shit about the leaf spring, but I mean I beat the crap out of it another day and it didn't break, didn't have any issues. It was just that bent one getting grabbing everything after the fact because I didn't even bend it on that rock that I thought I did. I bent it on a rock before that one, and then it was just fucked going into that whole spot. So it was just grabbing on all that shit after the fact. There's a video that I think Colin took up at the top where like it had climbed to where it kind of wanted to be, and it just didn't. Had I heated them up and like kept the thing, it was bouncing around. But had I unlocked the rear, spun the front a little bit to heat them up, it might have actually dragged it because it wanted it. There was nothing blocking it. I think Jason even says that it just wasn't climbing. Um, but I was all wigged out because everybody was telling me I was losing brackets and you know things were sounding horrible. Because everybody was looking at the those front leaf spring brackets that are bowing up into the floor, telling me that
Yeah,
those were the problem, and they were a problem. But uh,
they are a problem.
yes, they are a problem. Are we going to fix them before fall crawl? Probably not. I do have leaf
You're not
springs in
gonna
those
fix your
brackets.
leaf springs.
I'm doing
You
a
gotta
blue
fix.
trail.
You're not. Oh, you're not fixing the pack.
I don't need to.
Oh my God, you're crazy.
I'm bringing a leaf spring, but I don't need to. It's not a.
You know how dumb you're gonna look when you break that leaf spring on a blue trail, and all these guys are gonna be like, "Wow, this guy built this big ass Jeep and it can't even do a fucking blue trail."
It's not gonna break on a blue trail.
I hope not.
I
I
dragged it
hope
up.
not.
I dragged it through Crucible, Talisman, and F Trail and some other things on that
Dragged
leaf
is a
with no
dragged is a loose
issues.
term. You still flopped it.
What?
Said dragged is a loose term. You still flopped it.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
Can't
kidding.
think it'll
That's
be
a,
blame
fine.
you.
I do need to fix it, but I don't think I'm gonna have the time this week to get that done. Right? I'm already burning a day here, and we got Thursday, and then Friday. I probably won't have any time either. So I literally have tomorrow to like fix things on mine. And Sean also wanted his done. It's not gonna be done, Sean. I'm sorry. So
rip Sean.
yeah, it's just not enough time to get that done. Like I said, I think it needs another week worth of work of weeknights, and then we'll be in a better spot. But at this point, I just want to get it done right and have it be a solid rig to wheel. I don't want it to be like I said for trying to hit a deadline of Roush. I was willing to cut a few corners in looks and just have it be more functionality than form. But now that that's done and gone, and realistically, there's no way it'll make it to fall crawl. Uh, I want it to both function and not look like I slapped it together in 3 fucking days. So we're gonna take a little bit longer with it. We have all the pieces for the most part, other than the transfer case bullshit, which I need to address. But just little stuff like that. So it'll be done, just not done this week.
The small stuff always sucks the worst, though.
Oh yeah, it's all like little brackets and stuff, and then some minute details on the cab, getting the seats lined up where they need to be. Like all the main work for the tube is done. It'll do door bars on it because it had them originally, and I want to put them back on, especially after seeing Curtis's flop, like all that little stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to see that out there, especially on the Reds. And given Sean's driving style, I think that it'll work well. I think that the weekend at Roush was probably one of the best things for Sean. Um, just in regards to getting to drive Miguel's buggy, my Jeep, and like that's a motivating factor.
Yeah, I mean,
He seemed motivated before, but
yeah, I mean he'll be motivated when his Jeep's done too, because he'll have a rigged wheel that isn't a piece of garbage.
yeah,
They
that
haul
thing's gonna be nice.
What's wrong with
Uh,
wheeling garbage, Graham? Come on, dude.
nothing. It's just less fun than wheeling good stuff.
Fair.
I'm I'm really happy with how my stuff held up all weekend. Like my brakes were all stupid and self-induced, except for the transfer case. Well, I guess that's still self-induced, isn't it?
Yeah. As we posted on Instagram, you can see that video there. Yeah, it was I mean, you were just going for it, and then you just went bloop, just right in.
That didn't even break anything though.
When do you think you broke the transfer case?
I think it was then. You don't think it was there?
I think I set everything in motion at the backside of Shoot the Moon.
No. When would you have hit your transfer case there?
Oh, I don't think that it was just a hit that happened. Because I didn't hit the transfer case like you can see in the video that you posted it and Collins posted. It just settled down onto the cross member and that's where it stopped.
You don't
Um,
think that it would have hit your transfer case before then resting on the cross member?
no, because the cross member's in front.
Your cross member's in front of your transfer case.
Yeah,
Mine is behind, so I'm just confused on that with your
I
look.
don't know how yours is behind or you're really bad at math. Because it holds the transmission, which is in front of the.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, Cody's really bad at math today.
No, 100% because a what? Hold on a second. I'll be back. Don't talk to somebody else.
No, I'm sitting here waiting for this.
Fucking had me second guessing myself.
Yeah. What? No shot.
And like it would have hit my second set of cross members that are behind the transfer case before it hit the transfer case because they hang lower.
Oh yeah, no, you're totally fucking right. I'm retarded.
Yeah,
What?
that's why I was confused there, buddy.
Hey,
Worried
I'm
about you.
I'm dyslexic. My north and souths are backwards, right? That counts for something.
And from my limited experience of putting it on the trailer, driving it around and whatnot, I think what happened was that I started the brake at the backside of Shoot the Moon. Then I honed it for the rest of the day with the broken transmission mount. And somehow in there, I shot the bearings from the inside of the planetary because if you make more than a full like revolution of the tires now, it makes horrendous clunking and grinding noises.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so like the hole that appears to be an exit hole.
What would have exited the transfer case?
Piece of bearing. I don't know what else actually would have happened in there, but it appears to be an exit hole because it is much what's the technical term? It appears that the metal moved outwards because the backside of the hole is not it's more open than the front side of the hole. So like it took bits of
That's
aluminum
weird.
with it. Yeah. Yeah, it's really weird whatever happened in there, and it managed to bust the shifter linkage. That might have been just like a rock or something getting up in there somehow. Because there's a big dent in the floor too that's not near the transfer case. That wasn't there before.
Hmm. Well, you fucked it.
I done did fucked it. Real good. I think I might have another transfer case lined up from a junkyard out of a 97. So I'm just probably gonna go and cry as I pay the $185 for it.
God.
But that's one thing that does suck about the South is that there's a lot less rusted up vehicles, so certain parts cost more. Like they want $190 for a Dana 30. Kingpin 60s are going for $1,000.
That's. I mean, I guess yeah. Kingpins I can see being expensive.
Super
Oh,
duties, you can still find them if you know the right people for cheap.
yeah, but don't all the mudding guys like the Kingpins? So I wouldn't be
They
surprised
do.
if down south that they would be going for those.
They're kingpins. Well, now everybody gets the. Oh, I mean, no, they should still. Anybody who wants to pay
Kingpins.
$1,000 for a kingpin axle in 2022 can go right on ahead. I'll pay $300 for an '05 Super Duty and uh, never put ball joint eliminators in it because I'm too cheap. But you could do
I'm
that
gonna
and
be
that'd be
honest.
better.
I'm gonna put another set of ball joints in my axle. I don't care. I'm on 3 years on junkyard ball joints. Knock on wood. Um, so that's part of this winter's plan is that it's getting ball joints. Or maybe that's the opposite of what I should do. I should probably leave the junkyard ones in there until they explode.
I'd say just keep running them until they fucking explode, and then you're sitting there with it on the ground. Then you gotta replace them. Then I think that's the best move.
Probably. Um, I did take out another 60 shaft too.
When?
I don't know. I
Jeez.
cracked the yoke though, and the cap is welded to it, so I don't know how that didn't explode, but apparently when you weld the caps, they don't explode when you crack the yoke under light abuse. And that happened on the comp course as well.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It came down pretty hard on that one section, so I'm not surprised at all.
Yep. And it was that was the only tire that had the traction on it. So I ate two long sides.
Not the end of the
It's
world. Could have been worse.
yeah,
It's
one of
always
them
the long
saved.
side. I had the same issue with my shit.
I've never broken a 60 shaft, and then this weekend I break a stub and I break an inner. Like two separate axle shafts too. Like what's the odds on that?
I'm not too sure.
I mean, that's just how it goes. Like that was the same thing with the 50. Didn't break, didn't break, didn't break. Then all of a sudden, stub shaft, hubs, like grenade unit bearings because stub shaft explodes in it. Like it just became nonstop. And then the gears started blowing up, and I was like, yeah, this is done.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put a phone call into Bart and just get some 30 spline stubs on the way and just try and salvage it to get it back together for good evening because there's no way I'm gonna
Oh
afford.
yeah, don't bother with the 35 splines yet. But like, if you go to good evening and you blow more stub shafts, just save up for the 35 splines and be done with it,
Yeah.
because you'll have so much more luck.
I think that if I'm gonna do that, I'm just gonna go chromo for everything in there at that point. Um, it's not as cool to throw 30 splines back in it, but I'm just gonna grab the 30 spline chromos, put them in, and run it. It's like I I don't have the time before good evening to bore out the hubs, and I've got, other broken stuff like the fact I broke the motor mount, the transfer case, the transmission mount, and all that stuff that I have to fix.
Yeah.
And I have to undo hackery that was done to get it back out on the trail originally to get the transmission mount out and stuff like that, because I have to weld the cross member into it to get it to not flex that upper link. So I have to cut that back out.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll
And then
figure it
re-weld
out. You
it.
just got a 231 to put in. And
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just annoying.
mhm. I gotta see if the Dan gave me a couple his leaf packs that he had. I don't know what they're not Clayton's. I don't know what they are. I may talk to Clayton, see if I can get a what I could get one leaf spring for if they'd sell me one. I don't know if they will, but if they would, that'd be cool. If not, I'll just bastard pack it. And
Well, they have a pretty good warranty. I give them a ton of
I've
credit.
had those leafs on there for at least 2 years, I think. I don't remember when I swapped
They've
them
got
out.
a lifetime warranty, if I remember right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, let me go and just double check that so I'm not talking out of my ass, but
I've never heard of this, so that'd be new to me.
so let's see. I'm on Clayton's website now. About
So what's
uh
stopping you from really going four link, Graham? I mean, you have the mindset, you know you can do it. What's
It's
stopping you?
it's time and money. I don't have
Fair.
I barely have time to work on my shit as it is. So it's staying on Leaf Springs for now. And then as soon as I have, and I need to squirrel away parts too, right? Like you don't really think about it, but I had all of the parts for the for the front coilover set up way ahead of time. I had the coilover sitting for like a year and a half. I had the air bump sitting for a minute. I had spent a lot of time thinking about, how I wanted to do that before we even really started. Granted, there's always stuff that you kind of wing on the fly because you don't really know what you're getting into, but I had a good idea on what I wanted, and it wasn't something that I just like went in the shop and was like, I'm putting the coilovers in and just started doing it. Like I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do before I even started. So, and I haven't even really gotten through. I've started to sort of formulate what I want in the rear with a four link setup, and just at the same time, I want to address some things with the unibody back there. I don't know if anybody rolled under it, but if you roll under it and look at it, the bottom rail of the unibody in the very back, it's
it's
folding
gone.
and like rotting out a little bit. So realistically, that all needs to come out. I hate my lack of storage in the back, or just because of the way I did the front and how I took the rear seats out. Right before that space had some function, but now with the
Hmm.
tank in the very back,
It
no
doesn't
rear
have any.
seat, it's kind of like it's an oily, sloppy, gross mess because of that oil that dumped in there, and I just sort of throw all my shit in the back. Right, there's no organization to it, and it bugs me. It doesn't need to be organized back there, right? Everything just gets tossed around anyways, but it'd be nice to put the pack out plate that I've had sitting for a year and a half at this point in there and, you know, do a proper sell so it's not hack as fuck. At the same time address some fuel. Like it's gonna be more than just slap a four link in it
Yeah,
if
it
I
is.
do it
It
the way I
always
want to do it.
is.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, that makes sense.
So
Um,
it'll get there. And the other thing is I can't do a fuel cell that's less than the factory tank. I refuse to do a fuel cell that is 15 gallons. Like, I,
yeah, I mean, I think that making a 2 gallon concession is reasonable
yeah, two is fine.
because you can buy the 20 gallon cells.
Yeah, but I won't do a
And I
motor
think
build.
that's
I don't know what I'd do. It'd have to be something more
I
standalone.
dude, honestly, if I were to do it again, I would just buy one of the plastic cells with the simple mount kit, like what ball Chris Ball runs, or one of the metal bladder cells.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was thinking if I was gonna, and that's another thing. I wouldn't do a junky cell. I'd have to do something that like with all the pieces so it works properly. It's not like and
like Curtis's cell.
what does Curtis have for a cell?
You'll have to ask him, but if it's got a couple little quirks, like I think that he messed the fueler or the fill cap, I'm sorry, up. And that was, I think, something he fabricated himself. I don't think it was something that was done um, by the manufacturer of the cell, but it's just like a square. I think it's a 15 gallon, but whatever brand it is, it's well packaged in there. Everything sits in the center, and I've never seen that thing starving.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I have to see
Uh,
what he has.
yeah,
I just can't do a 15 gallon. Like I want the thing to be drivable on the road for
I don't have a problem
a
with the
while.
15 gallon because
Hell,
anywhere
if I
that I'm
could go
gonna,
more fuel, I would. That'd help put weight in the back if I'm gonna do a four link. Like I got no problem with that. So I don't know.
and you know, I cannot stress how much nicer it is having the four link in there.
Oh, I know.
Um,
I have ridden in rigs with four links versus not four links with very similar setups otherwise, and it's just night and day. Like, it's worth it doing, but to me, it'd have to be for it to be better than my leaf spring setup. Granted, it wouldn't take much to be better than my shitty leaf springs right now. Like I wouldn't want to skip on parts, right? I'd want to right
I
because if
think,
you do a four link, you automatically are without some supporting pieces like uh sway bar and
I-
um proper geometry and all that shit, right? You're sacrificing some things that you'd get at open
yeah,
springs.
I
The
would
the
agree.
stability of leaf springs is uh very nice, and it's the
I,
reason my rigs
I don't
now
know,
now
dude.
not now the previous before I fucked up my leaf spring setup. My leaf springs worked amazing, and I will bring them back to that status once I get that leaf swapped or packed up with new leaves, and I adjust where they're sitting a little more. I'll get it back there before I go four link, and then who knows? I may delay that further, but um,
So the reason that I'm saying I don't know on that is that I feel that my setup, I had stiff leaves in there before, everyone made fun of it, but it was incredibly stable before. It feels more stable now, um, with the four link, even though it moves the body around a little bit more. I haven't found a point where it's felt uncomfortable yet. If anything, there are times where driving into something, if there is still spring load going into the body feels more planted. So I think that, I don't know, it sounds kind of like cope.
maybe it is. I don't know. I'm very used to the leaf springs that the things had, so I mean, I'm sure it's a change, right? It's different, so
Yeah.
there's definitely a level of getting used to. I won't deny that the ride quality is a million times better. Like that's like
Yeah,
taking leaf springs out of the front and going to, coil shock front versus all that.
I
Like it
have
just
been pondering though. I think that I'm gonna hold off on the sway bar, especially after this trip, until I do the front coilovers, and then when I do the front coilovers, I'm gonna put the anti-rock up front.
really you put it up
Really.
front versus out back.
Yep.
Hmm. Why would you do that?
Um, I don't feel that like on the road, I feel like I could use it because I will like it is a boat on the road. You don't want to get it over 55, 60 on the road and take a tight corner on pavement, not in four-wheel drive. But driving that thing like to the limits of what I am comfortable with, sorry, Cody. Um, over the weekend, I just didn't feel like I needed it. There was no point where I felt sketched out by it.
Homeboy just said he wouldn't do 50 down the highway, but we did 60 down a green trail. Just saying, everybody. Just throwing that out there. I was in the passenger seat. Great.
No, no, no. The speed limit's like 20 or 15 or 10, Cody. You didn't go over that.
You're right.
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
The speed
Uh-huh.
limit was followed. 'Cause you're
yes,
smart.
it was followed to the absolute 15.9 miles an hour.
Yes.
Um, but it felt so much better in four-wheel drive. The four link does with the welded rear axle, it does torque around corners on pavement. So for the majority of the driving I've been doing on like county roads and some of the smaller highways around here where you can get away with doing under 50 or like 55, 60, it's not terrible because you're not going into super tight corners. But like say I'm going down like some back road where you're in the hairpins at 20 miles an hour, I don't like the way it feels. And that could easily be controlled by the front, especially if there are coilovers in the front as well. It's going to be a little bit easier to package up front, I think.
So, do you think that possibly could be that your ride height going down a flat road, you don't like that compared to when it's off settled going down a trail?
What do you mean?
Well, because if you're hitting bumps and stuff like that, your suspension is going to be off settled. So if you're saying to me that you feel more confident in it off settled hitting bumps going down a trail than you do on a flat road, That just doesn't make sense. It's kind of weird.
It's got more to do with the rear axle and the fact that the front axle's not pulling. So when the front axle's pulling, it helps to kind of mitigate the torque effect of the motor going directly into the rear axle, which is what causes that twisting effect that you get.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the drive shaft spinning the opposite direction or the same direction, but it's applying torque across every single wheel's getting 25% of the motor's torque versus the two rear wheels getting 50% each.
Hmm. All right, that makes sense.
Yep.
So just drive it in four-wheel drive. Got
Yeah.
it.
And it's not like terrible. This is me being a little bit nitpicky about it because like I can absolutely go drive it around, but I'm not gonna pass Morgan the keys to go and drive it to like McDonald's because she doesn't know it drives like a boat.
Fair
So I'm
enough.
trying to correct that. That's what I mean by that. And like I'm confident enough in it to drive it how I drove it this weekend.
Hmm.
That's all I got there. Anyone got any closing thoughts on this? Because I think this was a pretty damn good episode.
No, I think we're setting ourselves up for the next few. I think we've alluded pretty good to who our next few guests may be. I couldn't tell you who it would be,
Well,
but
I'm interested to hear from some of those other guys because I think this trip especially we definitely split ourselves up more, just because there were just more people, more groups split up, and
mhm.
Curtis was being a little bitch and went with other people. I barely got to wheel with like we said, I barely wheeled with Jason or any of those guys, and I like wheeling with those guys. And of course, after I flopped, Curtis was like, "Oh, you should come with us." I was like, "Well, no, I've been with these guys. I'm gonna, stick with my group, bud." Uh, so, but yeah, it'll be interesting to hear, the Curtis and oh shoot, I'm giving away our guess. Well, obviously Curtis is coming on.
Just give it away at this point.
It'll be interesting to hear the Curtis and Jason saga. And then I think there are other people lined up. We'll hear about their sagas as well throughout the trails. I'm interested to see what some of those other guys think, if they are actually guests that we're having on. I don't know yet, which is why I'm not naming people. Um,
It's gonna be good. I'm gonna just say that, and I think that instead of the normal tire kicking, we gotta once again just give a huge thank you to the Rockaholics guys that showed out. Um, Huge thank you to Curtis. I can't believe I'm thanking Curtis. The what was it, Tommy that had that
Yeah,
blue YJ buggy? That thing was sick. It was
yeah,
awesome to
Tommy
have
was a cool
him
guy.
there. He's a character. I give him credit
oh
there.
yeah.
Bill at Hardline Fab had a rough weekend, but he was a cool guy to talk
Really
with.
cool guy. I mean, they helped me fix my. I didn't even mention that. I fixed my fucking brake issues in the parking lot. Had my new master,
Ow!
my new booster. Just loaded that all up, and they in their spot. And Bill came over with lights. It was starting to get dark. He was like, "Here, so you're working with your fucking phone light." He threw like a couple of the Milwaukee lights. I was like, "Thank you, holy shit!" Now I can put these stupid things on. So great
You
dudes.
That's
know,
pretty
Cool
cool.
meeting those people.
Another huge shout out to Sam from Naked and Afraid Fabrication for feeding me, and he's just a cool dude in general, so it was great seeing him again. Even though we didn't get to wheel, I wanted to wheel with him. Um, and the Long Island boys, we had like it was a crazy turnout. I can't wait for next year. I'm upset I missed last year. Uh, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I
Rush
say
is
that's a
always a
pretty
good
good
time.
closing. And
Never not
You
a good
know.
time.
if you missed it this year, there's always going to be next year. May not be at Roush, but it'll
Oh,
be
it'll be at
somewhere,
Roush.
and
Labor Day weekend. Go to Roush. It'll be
we'll be
fun.
there.
Yep.
And
It'll
remember,
be
on
awesome.
that note, drink your fucking water and fuck
Oh, we
Lisa.
forgot to talk about that.
Nah,
Holy
No,
shit.
no, you weren't here. We talked about it.
Oh,
You
okay.
weren't here.
you were
Uh,
passing wrenches to some dude working on a Ford in your yard or some shit.
Oh, yeah, that was a cluster.
Yeah, drink your water. Fuck Leaf Springs.
Rest in peace, NP231. You served me well, and have a good night, everyone.